Got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are out there on YouTube. Also, for everybody that's listening to the show on anywhere that you get your podcast apps, make sure to rate 5 stars. Tell your friends. It helps tremendously out. But guys, we lost another one, but honestly, I'm not feeling terrible. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. How would you grade this game? Because to me, I'm feeling good. It's a loss, yes. And yes, losses suck, but I think that there's a lot of great takeaways for this game, a lot of positivity, a lot of good things that we wanted to see. For one, I think that this helps a lot of those Justin Fields haters out there. Like, you can definitely give criticism to Justin Fields, what he did in some of these other games. With the last week's game, I felt like there was a lot of stuff that after you rewatch the game, you realize that he was actually doing a lot of great things. But I think this game, he looked good first take, but there's a lot of stuff that we need to just kind of talk through. So already in the comments, we see Cut Pettis, ISM right now, Smith Marset, one can't catch the ball. Like, there's a lot of stuff out there. Defense is sold. There's a lot of things that happened today too that, yeah, we can't just be all sunshine and rainbows. We have to be real about this team and what we saw. And first off, I just want to get this out of the way. So the Bears lost 22-29 against the Minnesota Vikings. Big reason was Amir Smith Marset. Marset, we already saw it. We've already seen this. Basically, he did not go out of bounds. And he said that it was selfish in the post-game interview, that it was on him, that he did not run out of bounds, and he should have. So since he did not, they strip it, they get the ball back. That gets decided by a bad, stupid play by our team. I don't love it. I don't like it. But it's another time that we were just careless with the ball, and we gave the ball away when he should have just ran outside. And also, Smith Marset had an illegal block in the back. It was a little ticky-tack on a Justin Fields touchdown run. So honestly, he had one of the worst games. He did not do well. He showed that he really didn't deserve to be out here. That's why we're going to be watching N'Keal Harry. Do I think Smith Marset is an absolute terrible player now? No. But do I think that he cost us the game? Yes, I do think that there's a lot to blame, but I'm not going to really focus on this. We already know that he didn't do well, but I want to kind of highlight the other things that went on during this game, what was good, what was bad. One thing that was good was David Montgomery was back after we thought that he was going to have a season-ending injury, or what appeared to be that. He's back after a week. After 2 weeks, he's back in the lineup and was able to play significantly. That's a pro, right? I can't believe just his toughness that he was able to come back. But something that I thought was interesting too was we knew that Cody Whitehair was not going to be on this offensive line, and we didn't see Ja'Tyre Carter. We didn't see Schofield. We didn't see these people that we were hoping for. Riley Reif, even. I know a couple people were fans of that. What we saw, Lucas Patrick. And honestly, Lucas Patrick, we'll get into this later on. I don't think he had that good of a game, but let's get into just some of the statistics. So overall, Justin Fields threw for 208 yards, one touchdown, and was sacked twice. On the flip side, the Minnesota team, Kirk Cousins, 296 yards passing. Justin Jefferson had 23 yards passing, and Kirk Cousins had one touchdown, one interception, and was sacked once. But then from the rushing perspective, Justin Fields, 8 carries, 47 yards. David Montgomery, 12 carries for 20 yards, 1 point carry. Khalil Herbert, 4 for 11, 2.8. So not good, but slightly better. And from the Minnesota side, Dalvin Cook, 18 carries, 94 yards, which is 5.2 yards a carry. But Alexander Madsen, 9 carries, 19 yards, 2.1 yards a carry. So at least we held one of them. But like we said, we didn't have Akeem Hicks, and Akeem Hicks has been the Minnesota Vikings kryptonite. But let's get into just my top 10 storylines, my top 10 takeaways that I had for this game. Starting with number one, like I said, I didn't want to get into it too much at the beginning of the show. But number one, Lucas Patrick and Musty were rusty. They did not play too well. Yet again, this is my first impression of this game. I felt like they did not play well. This offensive line, I posted this out on Twitter, on first review, gave up 13 overall pressures. I believe it was 1 sack, 1 hit, and then 11 hurries. So not a terrible. I think it was like I think doing the quick math, that's like 44% or so. 44% is not, I think when I looked at that last time, it was the third worst or like the third quickest time. So even though it's better, we still did not block well. But the blocking wasn't great. But my feeling, put Lucas Patrick at center. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to see. But the thing that gets me a little bit nervous that I think we need to address is that Lucas Patrick has looked bad. I have not liked what I've seen out of Lucas Patrick. I think week 1 he played pretty well, or the first week that he was in, he played decent. But every week I'm not that impressed with him. And I know a lot of us, he's a center, right? Play him at center. Give him a chance at center, and then we can judge him. Then we can actually say, listen, this guy's not a good offensive lineman. But also, even though that he was a good center, his other position he played well at was right guard. And at right guard's not his natural position, you could say. But I thought this game, he didn't play too well. I still want to see. PFF has great stats on it where it's the QB hits and pressures and everything. I want to see that. I want to see how many pressures he gave up because it just seemed like Patrick didn't have that great of a game when I was seeing it. So that's why my first takeaway, I just want to see something different. Move Patrick to the center, but hopefully it looks like this week we're going to be able to activate Alex Leatherwood off of the IR spot or the physical unable to perform list, that weird sickness injury designation that he has there. So I would like to see you have Leatherwood in there. Is Leatherwood just a project that they're going to be building up so they're not going to play him? Or is Leatherwood going to actually be a part of this team because he has an opportunity to come in and fill in? But honestly, the Lions struggled a little bit. Braxton Jones, I don't think that we talk about him enough. I really do feel like Braxton Jones has struggled, but he hasn't been good, so to speak. So I think that he needs to get a little bit better from the pass protection. I think that he's looked good in the running game, but there's a couple times where he does seem like he almost gets beat a little bit. But also, I do want to say one of Justin Fields' sacks, I don't really credit too much on the offensive line or really on Justin Fields. And that was when he stepped up in the pocket because there was somebody going around him because Braxton Jones let his guy go around. Tevin Jenkins let his guy just lead him straight back. Fields makes the good read and steps up in the pocket. But what he doesn't know is that Larry Borum hasn't even engaged his guy yet because there was a tight end that was blocking his guy. And then his guy just runs in because he's technically unblocked and then gets the sack. So honestly, I don't fault really anybody for that. That was just a dumb luck play. But I think that's where PFF at least just kind of excused that sack overall. But yeah, I agree with Reload out here. Patrick at center, got to do that. I think that's what we want to see. And I also saw some people out on Twitter mention Doug Kramer. I wasn't a huge Doug Kramer fan when I saw him. And Doug Kramer, obviously, he's on IR, the center that we drafted. I don't think he would have gotten a chance here because I still think that he needs years and needs to kind of put on some weight too. But yeah, we need to see Patrick at center, and then hopefully Leatherwood can come back and do something, or we need to see, I still like Schofield. I still like giving Schofield at least a shot because Schofield didn't suck after that first bad performance. Like the first preseason performance didn't look good. And then it seemed like he kind of woke up and was like, yeah, I sucked. If I want a job, I need to play better. So that's why I want to see him out there and hopefully he can do well. But I want to just stop right here. And just for those watching, you can see the shirt that I have on. If you like the Chicago Bears shirt that I got, or if you're listening and you want to know what I'm wearing right now, click on, sounded weird. But if you can sports.shop and you can pick one up today. So just click on that. It helps out the show. And if you like it, I'm actually debating on getting a cutoff too. I think that it would be kind of cool. I got a bachelor party coming up that might be kind of fun over in the summertime. So we'll see. But back to the second takeaway. And ironically enough, number two is all about needing a number two wide receiver. We really saw that today. Tiff Tiff already said it in the comments. Pettis did not look good, dropping a couple balls and was targeted. And you also saw, if you haven't seen it, there's a video out there about Justin Fields. He throws the ball and then he just kind of sighs and he's just kind of like, what the heck? Because he threw it on the money right to Dante Pettis and he drops it. He is an NFL player. He's supposed to make that catch. That's where, to me, you got to see it. You got to make that catch. And he just didn't look good. I've been a fan of Dante Pettis, but here he is, targeted twice and 2 drops. One was, but you should be able to make that grab. You need to make those grabs. You need to make those plays. And Pettis just hasn't done it. And yeah, Tiff Tiff said too, Pettis dropped some balls in the Giants game. He hasn't looked great. He looked good during the preseason, looked pretty decent. But right now, I'm looking at this going, hey, we need to see N'Keal Harry. I want to see N'Keal Harry out here and what can he bring to the table? Because right now, that number 2 wide receiver just hasn't been present. Equinemius St. Brown hasn't been bad, but he's Equinemius St. Brown. He's been solid. He's been okay. So that's where we need to just see him do a little bit better, do a little bit more. But I don't think he's that guy. That's where hopefully N'Keal Harry can come in since Byron Pringle is on IR. So hopefully we can get somebody to at least kind of elevate to that number 2. But it was also, and I want to mention this, it was nice to see Cole Kmet get 4 catches for 45 yards. And I think that was him. It didn't seem like he was running wide open. He was, going down the seam. It seemed like it was very basic, simple, like just give him the ball. And then typically he can kind of bulldoze forward for like a good couple of yards out there. So that's why I want to see. That's why I want to see him do well and just do a little bit better, because Cole Kmet hasn't had a good season, but it was nice to see him at least get some targets out there. But let's go to my number 3 takeaway. Fields and Mooney need to connect. And I don't know about you guys, but I shook my head. I'm watching it with my family. My dad just looks at me and he goes, I thought that they were supposed to be hanging out all off season, right? Because there's the one in the end zone, the first one. It's sad to say, the first one that was not completed, where it seemed like a timing that was off between him and Fields. And it just seems like that should be something that they were working on, right? But we just didn't see that. The throw was off with that overall, and they didn't seem like they were connected together. But I think too, like Darnell Mooney, he made the amazing one-hand grab. He shows these highlights. But to me right now, he's kind of showing I'm a number 2 wide receiver, right? He's not showing that dominance that we want if he needs to show that he's a number 1. Like a true number 1 would make a lot of these plays with his quarterback, would be able to kind of make some of these grabs. He dropped one in the end zone, yes. But I also think that Harrison Smith totally smacked his arms before he even had a chance to catch the ball. So there was that. But I think that Darnell Mooney right now, him and Fields, they need to be better connected. They need to just have that chemistry, and we just have not seen it so far. But I also, I'll address some of the questions. There's a really good question out there that I really want to bring up. So let's go to the number 4, that the running game, that was a big takeaway. This Minnesota Vikings defense is not good at stopping the run, but they sold out to stop our run. David Montgomery, 12 carries, 20 yards, 1.7 yards a carry, and Khalil Herbert, 2.8. None of the running backs got anything going, and we've really started to see this running game kind of dwindle. I think a big part of this is mainly because people know, force these guys to pass. Make sure you take away the running game so that these guys have to pass. And I think that's a big reason why you don't see this running game being as successful. But I think, too, you do get affected when Cody Whitehair's not out there, right? Cody Whitehair was a big reason that they were able to move the pile. And yet again, you're shifting around the offensive line. You're shifting around now. Braxton Jones and Cody Whitehair always took snaps together. They knew where each other was. That was the one spot of the line you knew for certain they were going to be together. And now that's switched up. So I think that does have a huge impact on this because you don't have your best blocker out there in Braxton Jones. So that's why, honestly, I think that the running game overall struggled a little bit, but I'm hoping that we can just keep it going, rebound, and hopefully with Justin Fields progressing, we can see a little bit more out of this. But I want to just, my fifth offensive takeaway, my final offensive takeaway of the day is Fields is progressing. And this to me is the number one thing for those watching on YouTube. You see it as the thumbnail. Justin Fields is progressing. And this is what I love about it. He got pressured, but what we saw that he was able to get out of the pocket. We saw that he was making a couple quicker decisions. What we're seeing is that he's getting better and better and better. And as I was putting together this graphic, I had to delete something where I said it was his fourth straight bad game. But when I rewatched the tape, it wasn't a bad game for him last week. It was a bad offensive line. It was bad wide receivers. It was more, you could put it on them. Teams like Fields is progressing every single week, and that's what we want to see. We want to see that growth. I still think that there was a couple throws that he needed to kind of hit a little bit better. It was a little bit off. It wasn't perfect, right? Like, I'm not saying that this was the greatest game of all time and everybody all hail Justin Fields, but I'm saying this is a good game. What he's showing that he's a good quarterback. He's somebody that can make plays, that has an arm, that also, when he's out there running, he's a next level game-changing type of player. That's something that you want to try and build around and want to try and take a gamble on, because we saw that 45-yard rushing touchdown. Really, the only other quarterback that can make that play is Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields can make that play as well, as long as Amir Smith-Marset doesn't do that whole block in the back thing. Then we would have a touchdown, right? That's the type of game-changing player we have with Justin Fields. And I think overall, I really like what he saw. What I saw out of this, it was a better performance under pressure. I loved the way that he was performing over even last week. Even last week when he was escaping, I thought that Justin Fields was a lot more poised this week. So hopefully, let's keep building. Does that mean all of his pocket presence issues are fixed? No. We got to see more sample. We got to see more sample size. But it was something that was promising. But this week, I actually don't really have any of those overreactions, hot takes, because I think there's a lot going on. But I wanted to kind of take some questions. So if you have any questions and you're in the live chat, let me know. But I want to actually call this out, and Reload beat me to the punch so I can actually show this out here. You think we're going to get another QB in 2023? That is a great question that I'm glad that you brought up, because during this game, and we'll go through the defense next, and the defense, we got to talk about that. But I was looking at the free agent class for next year, right? And when looking at the free agent class of next year, all the wider, if you look at it, there's no one. And yes, some people get cut. Some people are cap casualties. But I really felt like you're not going to get a wide receiver, right? And there's also a crap ton of running backs. If someone out there is like, we have to pay David Montgomery, go to Spot Rack, look at free agents for 2023. Literally, there are 20 starting running backs that you can sign in free agency. Every running back is basically up for free agency in 2023. But to me, this is my thing, is that I would not go after a quarterback in 2023. Let's say that the Bears do not do well. They have a top 5 pick. They have a top 10 pick. To me, the Bears are better off if they end up just trading down. And I know it sounds so easy, so cliche. There's a lot of good quarterbacks out here. And I think no matter what, you want to build a team. This team is not good. This foundation is not great. So if you can put together a foundation around your quarterback and build that foundation, and let's say Justin Fields ain't it in 2023, a year down the road, Justin Fields can't play, right? Justin Fields does not do well, and you just added all this great talent, right? Now you can draft your quarterback early on, and now you have that team that's built around it. So that's my personal take is I would I would totally want to see what I want to trade down. I would draft an offensive lineman. I would draft a wide receiver, most likely a wide receiver, because like I said, the free agency pool is kind of trash. So that's what I would do is I would really try and focus on building the team because then if the team still sucks or the quarterback drags down the team, you get a new one. But that's my TED talk for for the day. Well, let's see. Bears fan 2006. Do you think N'Keal Harry will play Thursday? Ooh, that's right. It is that's going to be difficult. We see it moving around, right? And I think because there wasn't any talk on it, I I I'd lean towards no and just like them saying, "Hey, let's just wait another week and then let's give you those reps," right? Because he was traded during training camp. So he didn't get a million reps and he was kind of banged up a little bit. So maybe they just want to get more repetition and more reps out there. But when you see Amir Smith Marset not doing too well, it's like, yeah, I agree with some of the comments. Let's throw him in, right? Like, I want to see this guy play because we ain't got nobody else, right? We want to see what this guy can do. So that's something that I want to see out of it. But I think that Thursday might be too quick of a turnaround, honestly. Especially too, it seems like they're trying to ramp up Valus as well. So it seems like they got a lot going on. But yet again, that's why they make the big bucks. That's why they're the coaches. They need to get everybody there. But I wouldn't bank on it. I would be surprised if he ends up playing. But also I do want to just bring up Valus. We asked about having Valus do a end around, and that's exactly what they did, and it ended up in a touchdown. The only thing they didn't do is do a fake end around with them, which I think that will work. They just need to try and do something like that out there as well. But yeah, I think that overall, wide receivers, we need wide receivers. Talk to what's his name? The guy from the Texans. I can't believe I'm blanking on him, the speedster. But we need wide receivers. We need playmakers out there. That's what we need. And right now we don't have those wide receivers. Fields needs help. Fields is getting pressured. He needs those guys. So that's where ultimately we need somebody. But yeah, Tiff also brought up practice squad. Yeah, Isaiah Coulter did decent, but I think the hard part, I don't think he does special teams, but we need to see something with some of these wide receivers, try and bring in some sort of wide receiver out there. But let's keep on moving along to the defense. And also Will Fuller. Will Fuller is the name of the wide receiver that I still would love to get or at least try out, right? Why not? Why not give him a flyer? So let's go on to the defense. Now, this defense, obviously, we give up 29 points, 3.8 yards rushing average, which isn't terrible, but 312 total passing yards. Not a good day for this defense. And that's actually when I started looking at who's available on defense because our defense was not playing well. We let up 21 points at halftime and then didn't allow a touchdown until the fourth quarter. But first takeaway is that Jaylon Jones did struggle. Our undrafted rookie free agent that's filling in for Jaylon Johnson. And he's been looking good, right? He's been looking solid, but the only thing now we see him get picked apart, right? We see him get attacked. It is Justin Jefferson. And we said this in the pre-show. This is the best group of wide receivers that we saw that we saw the 49ers, but that was in the rain game and it wasn't fully there, right? This was the best group of wide receivers, and they really took advantage of Jaylon Jones. And yeah, he's an undrafted rookie free agent. That's what's going to happen to him, right? Hopefully, Jaylon Johnson can come back. He was limited on practice, the final day of practice, I believe, Friday. So hopefully he can come back. It's a short turnaround. So I think it's going to be 50-50. We're going to need him, especially because the Commanders have a lot of good wide receivers. So hopefully he can be back out there and do something for us, right? Because we need to see that. Now, Rowe is not the best linebacker ever out there today. Yeah, again, another week of Rowe, best linebacker ever, only 8 tackles. And that might have been because Jaylon Jones got 13 tackles. And during watching the game, we are kind of saying, like, man, this guy was getting every single tackle because he was letting up those plays. Same thing with Kyler Gordon, 10 tackles. Another day that these corners or Kyler Gordon doesn't play amazing, but I will say Kyler Gordon made some good tackles. I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. He made some good plays. But honestly, overall, yeah, the defense was not great. And let's go to this thing too, though. You could spin this one of two ways, right? Alan Williams is like a second half guru. Like, this is the second week in a row where we let up all these points in the first half where we just look like the worst defense of all time. And then we go into the second half and magically everything gets fixed. And now we're getting interceptions. Now we're playing well. Now they can't move the ball, right? Is there a way that we could get that communicated during the game, right? And it's nice that we get it in the second half, but I want it a little bit earlier because it's a little bit painful to watch when someone can just impose their will on your defense like that and just destroy you. I like it that he's changing it. I like that he's fixing it. We all know how Matt Nagy was. He didn't want to do anything, right? Yeah, and Tif says he needs to be a 4 quarters guru, right? Like all 4 quarters, we got to do well. And it's good, but it's not great, right? We want to look for greatness. We want to see great things. And it was painful to watch. And a big reason of that is this D line. And my question, my third takeaway of this defense is the D line coach at fault for this, right? Because the entire D line does not look good. Like Travis Gibson had a couple plays out there, but I tell you, like, it looks like you put stock people in Madden that you just dragged off the street, just started having them play. Like they just get eaten up by their block. They don't do too much. And Renewable out here saying, yeah, Quinn knows one move, right? Robert Quinn, you see him just flying by. But the problem is when he's flying by behind the quarterback, nobody's getting any pressure up front. So Kirk Cousins is like, all right, cool. I'll just take a couple steps up and I'll throw this football, right? Quinn did not get loose. Quinn, I will say, has been going against very good tackle competition. But if you want to be a Pro Bowler, you want to be an All-Pro, you want to get paid the money that you're getting paid, you got to make those plays, right? Like if you are a senior level person in your company and anytime something bad happens or anytime something difficult pops up, or like if you're a manager and you just go, yeah, I don't really want to do that. Like that's a little too difficult. That's too hard. You're not making your money. You're not deserving your money. You are Robert Quinn. You're getting a lot of money. You need to do better than that. And that's something that we got to see out there. But yes, we got to trade. It's hard because I was pounding the table to trade him in the offseason. Like that was the peak of his trade value. Right now, you're seeing that trade value go down. That's where with this, you're hoping you can get someone to bite that's hungry for another pass rusher. The Chargers, we've brought up before. The Chargers would be a great person to try and trade Quinn to, but maybe someone else goes down. It sounds bad, like you're kind of hoping somebody gets injured. Somebody goes down so we can trade Quinn because now there's a demand for him, and now you can hopefully get him for something good, right? Maybe something happens to the Chiefs, maybe something happens to the Bills, and then you're able to kind of trade him off for some sort of asset, right? Some sort of draft piece. And also, too, his contract doesn't look bad if he ends up getting 18 sacks a year like he did last year, right? So we'll just have to trade him. I like the idea of trading him, too, because then you also free up some salary cap space, and then Dominique Robinson and Travis Gibson can play a little bit more. But really, this defense did not look good. this D line looked really bad. And the one sack that they got was built because of a stunt. It was, yeah, Travis Gibson going in and basically taking Justin Jones's guy so Justin Jones could just run around the outside. It wasn't based on Justin Jones. Yes, he had to get off of his guy a little bit, but it really wasn't naturally one. This is another week where we get one sack, and that one sack is not really because of this defensive line. It's just kind of sad, especially when you're going against the Vikings, who we know are weak up the middle. So hopefully we can do something. Bears fan 2006. I like this. Robert Quinn for Chase Claypool. That'd be interesting. You have me there for sure. I like that because Robert Quinn, he could do something for them out there, get hungry for it. And Chase Claypool could at least give us another dimension, get us another weapon that's out there too. I'm actually kind of a fan of that. I really like that. It's really interesting. But let's go to the next takeaway. Vildor continues to hold his own. Now, this isn't saying Kindle Vildor should be a Pro Bowler for us. This isn't saying that Kindle Vildor, guys, we're all wrong. This guy's the best thing in the world. But Kindle Vildor, we got to give him his credit. We got to give him his fair share. Makes a good interception today. Now, still, I saw a stat that he was targeted 4 times, had 1 interception, but then let up a catch on the other 3, right? Didn't play outstanding, but he's playing decent, right? If you have Jaylon Johnson out there and you have Tavon Young, who's been on IR, if you had Tavon Young as that slot, this cornerback group looks amazing, right? This cornerback looks good. Vildor still is your weak link, but Vildor holding his own. But I don't think he's amazing, but he's playing decent out there, especially for someone that a lot of us wrote off because we saw how bad he was last year, and hopefully he just continues to stack. He's making good tackles. He's making good plays. Still needs to get a little bit better from a coverage perspective, but it's just nice to see. He's a young player on a rookie deal. So just hopefully he can continue to stack solid days out there. But let's go to my 5th and final defensive takeaway. That's this defense just doesn't have the tools, right? This defense, it really doesn't. Because when you don't have Jaylon Johnson out there, you have Kindle Vildor starting on the other side. Kyler Gordon, you're forcing in there because he's your 2nd round draft pick, but he's not playing great. But also when you look at the backups, you don't really have much depth at that cornerback spot. Then at the linebackers, Roquan Smith, right? Renewable saying, yeah, here's his best linebacker. Was he out there? No, Roquan Smith has not played great. And Nicholas Morrow has not played great. And yet again, no one's jumping for joy if they sign Nicholas Morrow in the next offseason, right? But maybe and then also Matt Adams, your starting Sam linebacker. This guy didn't even start for the Indianapolis Colts. And now he's a starter for us. Like, there's somewhat of a level of we just don't have the bodies. We just don't have the talent, especially on this D line in the interior. Angelo Blackson's done nothing. Justin Jones, yes, he has 2 sacks. He's been okay, but he's not been phenomenal, right? And so that's when I started looking. So Payne is going to be out there next year. There's a lot of good defensive tackles that we could potentially get. But that's where it just felt like this defense in the first half, you're like, where are these bodies, right? Where are the good players on this team? We're not moving the line. We're not winning at the line of scrimmage. So that's something that was a little bit frustrating, to say the least. Something that I hope that we can just continue to build, and hopefully next year we can start adding different people. And in case if you were curious, Larry Ogunjobi really hasn't been that good as well. So I'm glad that we didn't sign him, and kudos to Ryan Poles for looking at this guy and saying, you're not worth like the $13 or $12 million that they were going to be paying him. Because has he had a good season? It's been okay. He could have definitely been a starting defensive tackle for us, but he wasn't worth that 13. So I'm glad that we got out of that deal because he just wasn't going to be worth that money for this year. But overall, defense, we ended up getting the interception. You'll love to see it. But overall, we got to get better, guys. We hopefully with Jaylon Johnson back, we can just do better. But still, got to give him a shout out. Eddie Jackson continues to play well, continues to make tackles, makes a great goal line tackle out there, flying across, sweeps the leg to take down Dalvin Cook. Bojack's playing well. And Brisker still learning, but still a good player. There's a lot of optimism that you can have with this defense, a lot of young pieces. But just this year, it's very difficult because we need Jaylon Johnson back. We need players like that. So we shall see. Hopefully he comes back next week. But we've gone through the offense and we have gone through the defense. So now it's time for the special teams review. And this is actually going to be interesting, guys, because guess what? We had an onside kick. We had a surprise onside kick, which I don't hate because you're down by a decent amount. So you're saying, listen, we gotta regroup. We got to do something. So now your defense, you do an onside kick, hardly get it, but we stop them, right? We're talking about second half hero Alan Williams with his defense making us play unbelievable, right? And because of that, now we're playing great. Now we're playing awesome. We then block the field goal, which was great to see. So Dominique Robinson big wingspan, blocks the kick. But also, we saw Velus Jones catch all of his everything out there, 2 kick returns, and played pretty decently with that overall. So yeah, 2 field goals, great. Honestly, just great play for us overall. And then also we saw us strip the field. We also saw us strip another player with who was it? Blackwell stripped the player. And honestly, Blackwell's just played very, very well in special teams. Now I understand why we got him, right? He looked very good as the special teamer. So I don't mind the Blackwell signing, but I still wouldn't have done it if it meant that Thomas Graham Jr. wouldn't be on this team, because I feel a lot better if Thomas Graham Jr. is out there. But I will say the special teams have looked better, and Blackwell has looked to be a very good gunner out there on special teams. So up all around, and yeah, 2 missed field goals for the Minnesota Vikings, but Cairo Santos hits all 3. Just absolutely great. Nails a 50-yarder and I believe a 51-yarder. So absolutely incredible by Cairo Santos coming back. And also Trenton Gill, 2 punts, 56 yards average. So his longest was a 60-yarder. So that means that the other one was about a 50 or a 52-yarder. So great punts for the Trenton Gill. But guys, now we got to just finish up this show. We got a player of the game. We have to give that out. So if you're watching live or if you're watching after the fact, let me know your player of the game down in the comments. Because now I got to think about this. Who is my player of the game? Because this is a difficult one. Because on the defense, I don't think I can give it. Thinking about the defense, don't think I could really give it to someone. I think that Travis Gibson played the best on the D line. Yet again, Eddie Jackson continues to impress. And then also had an interception. Good for him. Great play all around, right? But if I go over to the offense played well. The running backs did not. Darnell Mooney with the amazing grab, but honestly, I lean towards just Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields showed some good stuff today. I think the offensive line overall was not great, continued to not be great, but looked better. We knew that even though that Minnesota had the guys, they're not blitzing, right? That's something that is very easy for this Bears team. If you're not blitzing, we can then hopefully tear you apart. That's why I think overall, even Cole Kmet, like getting 4 catches, it's sad to say, because he had the same production as Irv Smith, but I don't really feel like Irv Smith did that great. But I'm getting this in the comments. Yeah, I think overall, Justin Fields gets the game ball because you see this guy go 15 of 20, carries the offense. Exactly like what Tiff is saying. And this is also the reason why I think you don't draft a quarterback next year, because Justin Fields, whenever we do well, it's not look at how good this one person was, right? Like, if you have the running game, like someone has to carry this team because the line's not doing anything, the wide receivers aren't doing anything. A running back just has to carry the team. Justin Fields carried this team today and played well. 15 of 21. I think he only had one incompletion in the second half. Absolutely great. Looked well, played great. Absolutely loved it. Justin Fields, you get the game ball. Great game. I'm excited. Even though that we lost, I think that this was a good game. And for those people that watch and watch the Bears and hope for the losses, you're probably happy right now, right? Because you're going, hey, we got a better draft pick. Because to be fair, this team is, it just shows you, this team is not built for the playoffs. This team is a playoff team. Let me know in the comments. Send me a DM. I want to be proven wrong. Let me know, right? I'm curious about that. This team has not played like a playoff team, and I hope that we can just continue to make this team better. So overall, way to go, Justin. Hopefully next week, we're going to be going against the actually in just a couple days, we're going to be going against the Washington Commanders. We're going to be breaking it down this week. I'm also on baby watch. The baby is due soon. My wife actually was having some contractions, and it's not saying that baby's coming right now. For those that have babies, understand that women get some contractions every now and again when it's about time. But I might be doing this from, we'll see. I'll keep you guys in the loop with what's going down. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Rate 5 stars, like, subscribe. It means so much. I think we'll be doing a preview either tomorrow or Tuesday. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, this week is going to be a little crazy. So hopefully the baby doesn't come until like maybe Friday. Hopefully it's Friday so that we can watch the game, do everything that we need to, and hopefully that will be good. But make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.